One series left to go to close out week 7 of the Quake Pro League. My name is Ketchup, joined by Lethal and joined by DJ Wheat. It's time now for nosfa versus k1llsen, and that will be tonight, done and dusted. It's been a really good day of games so far. I'm thoroughly hoping and fairly certain that we're going to get an absolutely fantastic final match here, because with two players like these, how can you go wrong, Wheat?
I mean, I kind of agree. You've got, I mean, also it's kind of amazing because if I were to, if you ask someone, like, what do you think a number 5 seed is record-wise? And I don't know, like 4-2 or something, no, 5-0, right? Just to show you how stacked the top of the bracket actually is. And k1llsen, clearly championship material, clearly doing some damage this league, looking to continue that damage here. But to be number 5 at 5-0, right? Big push for him to be at the top with a win here. So, right, k1llsen has got a lot to prove here. He's been looking incredibly solid this season, and that should be expected. There you can see across the board, wins. Lost the map to Razy, Strong Sage, and Chain, but still pretty big opponents there, and some of those. So, right, k1llsen definitely coming at this with a win in mind.
Yeah, it certainly does indeed. And having that Razy win 2-1 is going to be a staple to this itself. I think the good thing about k1llsen as well is one thing which is a little bit different compared to other people's styles is the time it takes for him to pursue a frag or an item or something like that. It's the lack of hesitation he has compared to everyone else. He thinks about something, he'll go straight and do it. Like, no discussion, no debate. He'll just go and do it. He uses his initiative quite a lot, but got a lot of methodical process behind it as well. So the fact that he doesn't really think twice about certain situations, because obviously he's probably done it so many times, it's been very natural for him. There is some players like that. Rafa's also very similar to not really hesitating at all in the slightest when it comes to making certain decisions. But k1llsen's definitely up there on top of the table in terms of being able to make this it can be a reactionary player, but he does it with, it's just the hesitation factor which he doesn't really abide to at all in the slightest. It's very hard to contend with for any opponent.
Now, a player that has a similar idea of when to go in and get the job done, funny you should mention it, is his opponent, nosfa.
Yeah.
nosfa is one of those players that has always been a bit of a crowd pleaser, I think is safe to say, because I've said this before about other players, but he kind of plays with his heart on his sleeve. If something feels right in this moment, he will dedicate to it. And you have to be a confident player to be able to do that. And even his record in this season has been not too shabby, as you can clearly see. So nosfa is going into this as one hell of a contender. I think many players kind of looking in a prediction sense that perhaps this could be a victory for k1llsen, but looking at how nosfa is currently doing, I'd say don't count this guy out, because, well, he's looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest differences between what we're seeing on k1llsen's side and what we're seeing on nosfa's side is that definitely k1llsen has had, I would argue, a little bit tougher road by comparison. Still some pretty impressive names up there for nosfa, but definitely this would be the game that would add to nosfa's resume, right? He would come out of this with a win 5-1. That would push him up from number 8 to much higher. In fact, I think it'd bump k1llsen out of number 5. So a lot to prove here, and I think nosfa is another player we talk about, improvement over time, and he's definitely one who has done exactly that. Of course, k1llsen has been through his own little struggles here the last couple seasons, but he seems to have absolutely found his track. He runs it well, and it's amazing to see. So sorry, didn't mean to blabber. Let's look at picks and bans.
No worries at all, mate. That's why we're all here. However, picks and bans time is now. Corrupted Keep, in a shocking display of unexpected measures, Corrupted Keep is going to be Strog versus Ranger. And then afterwards, it's going to be Molten Fools with actually Sorlag. Okay. Coming out to play versus the Slash, and Blood Covenant, our final map. Doomslayer versus Visor. Now, the bans themselves, they all seem relatively standard here, and I think factoring in a combination of maps, but also players, taking the Anarchy away, taking the Nyx away from k1llsen, always being something that players like to do. And then if we're going to be at Blood Covenant, then yeah, we'll just get rid of Athena for that one, because most players don't want to have to deal with just the sheer level of limitless mobility Athena can kind of have on a map like that. Everything else is, yeah, excited to see it. The big standout thing for us, I think, Lethal, being that Sorlag on Molten Falls.
Hold on a second. Where's the Veil ban at the beginning? Like we get that majority of the time, but for once, k1llsen's actually left Veil open, which is
we didn't
a bit of a shock to
anyway.
the system for me. It might just be a complete coincidence. I don't know, but it's quite. I find it very interesting because nosfa, towards the end of the picks and bans, you can see has he had the opportunity to select Veil just to maybe test k1llsen to see if he plays on it or not, because in a tournament setting we're not used to it. We don't ever see him play it. It's a very rare occurrence, but nosfa still goes for Blood Covenant, and I do believe that's because with the Doom and the mobility he'll be able to be a little bit more successful securing some of those frags, but also getting those items at the same time. But everything looks quite standard, of course, apart from the Sorlag, which you mentioned, which was pretty interesting feat in itself. It's not something we normally accustomed to all the time, but Corrupted Keep, Strog Ranger, normality is set back in stone.
Yeah, we'll be curious to see that one play out a little bit. And just a quick peek at the predictions. k1llsen overwhelmingly with about 300,000 points to the 50,000 of nosfa. But hey, listen, all those out there getting in on the channel points, there's been some big wins today. So don't second guess yourself, right? We'll see what happens in the arena.
Well, I tell you what, both of these players are readying up now, so Lethal, we shall go and give you a well-earned break, my friend. And you'll be joined by myself and DJ Wheat for this final matchup of the day. Now, Corrupted Keep with Strog versus Ranger has been, I think, the most common matchup that we've seen all day. And we've had a perfect look into kind of how it can go. And what today has shown us is that a really well-played Ranger is absolutely able to bring it to Strog on paper. However, in a game like this, it's always going to come down to that player versus player element, right? And with k1llsen being on the side of Strog, it's a chance to see, is this champion going to maybe alter the balance, as it were? We've seen a lot of Ranger victories today. Is it time to get a Strog one?
Yeah, I mean, it might be possible. Otherwise, right? It's gonna be Ranger and BJ is like the favored choices after strong stages matches in the last matchup. But it could be, and if there was a player that was gonna do that, probably k1llsen. Just kind of taking a peek, and there's a lot of 2-1s, a lot of 3-0s being thrown out. But I've seen this a couple times that people think that if nosfa is gonna grab a game, it might be this first one. So we'll have to see.
We might see indeed, as now we're loading in a map that, as we have seen today and probably years before, can be so different to everything else. And I think talking about a map win potentially being this one is not a far cry from being an accurate prediction. But the next 10 minutes, we'll surely know. Starting things off with the Pika, shut down a little bit, nosfa forced to retreat. And actually, we are going to dedicate to this fight, and it will be k1llsen getting the last little inch of damage. That was so close to going either way. Oh, there's the rocket, and k1llsen. Yeah, I think his reaction says it all, doesn't it, Weez?
I mean, you know, he looked like he took his time to get over there, and nosfa was like off the spot. I am going for this, and in fact, he's really tried to keep it going. Unfortunately, couldn't, but brings it right back. k1llsen did find that frag off the spawn, but nosfa with a great orb rocket combo, but now already hurting a little bit. Peeker coming out, Peeker looking for blood, but makes the wrong left turn, and unfortunately into the whatever that is. Is that a rib right there? I don't know. Is it a spine? I don't know what part of the body that is, or type of bone that is, but
it's a part of something. Now nosfa doing a decent little chunk of damage, but I think all things considered, that very much was k1llsen's fight to take there. Just had the stack, had the positioning too, and wasn't the one flying through the void and having to just flail out some shots. Oh, hang on a minute, k1llsen so nearly fell in that fight. That missed shot really had me sweating. However, he lives to fight another day and then some. But nosfa just sitting on the end of the teleporter, just knowing that k1llsen was going to step right through that. Now, the nail gun fight, a lot of damage being dealt out there. k1llsen doing his best to keep himself safe. I feel like this is almost impossible to keep up with 8 frags in 2 minutes. We've only just started, boys. Come on.
This is what I thought the last game was going to be like that we saw between our
Strong Sage and Zeniku, yeah.
Yep, but you know, definitely a bit slower, and I'm okay with this pace. Don't get me wrong, Ketchup. It's pretty phenomenal to see. We've seen some pretty incredible things from both players so far. I mean, a good amount of aggression, but I wouldn't call it necessarily blind aggression. Like they're taking some risks, just like this LG battle right here. It feels like it could have gone either way, but k1llsen does come out on top. Now, if this pace continues, I still think nosfa is in a position that he can make something happen, unless, you know, things like that happen. That's not great. But he's got some control of major items. He's keeping that damage up. In fact, has an opportunity, trying to finish it up with the shotgun. Can't get it done because the Mega came out, but there it is. And it is now 6-5 at the 3-minute mark.
I think k1llsen's reaction to that does speak volumes, because how on earth did those 2 shots at that range do that much damage? nosfa definitely blessed today, as that's now going to be a really good situation. Only 1 frag behind. Unfortunately, I say make that 2, as I spoke too soon. Catching him fresh off the spawn, but if there's one champion that's able to deal with getting caught on spawn, it can sometimes be Ranger. That instant orb definitely has to make you worry a little bit. Now, what won't be worrying is k1llsen's rocket launcher, another frag. We're looking at the score count. You'd never have guessed we're only 3.5 minutes in. This is absolutely ridiculous.
It is, and you know, I like how k1llsen's kind of approaching this, especially if that aggression is going to come, kind of prioritizing some of those rockets, getting some really good shots, and then, you know, doing the little pea shooter damage with the heavy as needed. I say pea shooter, but that thing hurts, right? Especially consecutive hits. Following that orb out, misses that rocket, but a good read overall. k1llsen now from the top, LG out, a lot of damage dished out. He's not going to. Well, okay. I was going to say he's not going to finish it off, but a great leading rocket there to put himself up by 4 now, and k1llsen now kind of finding his groove. That
was an absolutely perfect fight from k1llsen. You know, knowing that his opponent, yes, has taken the item, but I have a Mega to fall back on, and nosfa, I was going to mention it, at least 10 seconds early on the heavy, which is a weird situation because obviously he took the last one. So it's not like he didn't have timing. I think he was just genuinely thinking, like, is k1llsen gonna come over here? Maybe I can just kind of pick it up. Either way, it has kind of slowed that momentum a little bit. k1llsen now taking himself another frag, and where he goes from here, I mean, that's just one big question mark. Trying to lay that pressure on. However, nosfa fresh off spawn with a nail gun, that's going to be a very scary situation, so he's going to escape that one. k1llsen having to bide his time until the next major item. Had to concede that heavy. Wasn't going to be able to make his presence known on that. Far too low. Now with the Mega in play, and nosfa flying in. Speed of light, orb in play too. k1llsen's going to have to show a lot of respect here.
Yeah, I mean, even without the stack catch-up, you know, that would have been the opportunity for nosfa to go. Like, I think he...
Oh, my lord.
Right down the throat. Perfectly set rocket. I was going to say, I'm not sure if nosfa saw the peeker come out, but he had a better stack, had an opportunity. He may just not have known at that point. Didn't matter because he hit a very, very nice, yikes, a very, very nice rocket there, and then brings it back for another one. Now a 3-point game, and with so much time remaining still in anyone's reach right now, as k1llsen still looking to try to keep that control up, but nosfa with that Mega and doing a little bit of damage in a great position now to take both major items, and this is a good spot for nosfa to be.
Just hit that 6-minute mark as well. So much has happened in just a short space of time, and nosfa once again just landing explosive damage, trying to pressure though right as k1llsen spawns, and that's going to be punished, forcing him to retreat. And now thankfully there was a Mega, no doubt would have motivated the decision to push forward in the first place.
Wow.
And the shotgun has been k1llsen's worst enemy. He has taken so much damage. In fact, I'm going to check the stats. Yeah, nosfa's almost done 1,000 damage with the SSG alone in this match so far. It has been quite a weapon for him.
Now a fight over this Mega. Peeker out, big rocket down, and another follow-up. We're tied up. This was a 4-frag game moments ago. We had almost 8 frags in 2 minutes. Pace slowed down just a little bit, but still 20 frags in about 7 minutes, and we've got a tie game right now. Now, I'd argue that nosfa in just a little bit better spot, but not anymore, as k1llsen finally able to steal away another heavy. Looking at items right now, it is about, well, it's pretty close, actually, believe it or not, in terms of switch back and forth, but k1llsen kind of needed to regain control here. Rockets coming out yet again. 2 big shots, but k1llsen with the frag walks away, still looking pretty good on that one, and regains the lead.
It's certainly going to be one hell of a fight to bring this one back for nosfa, the way things are currently going. There's now 2 frags that he's conceded to k1llsen, making it 12 to 10. And could, in theory, get even worse. Oh no! Caught swapping weapons, and still somehow k1llsen finds it. I think you can see again, I don't want to constantly, bang on about k1llsen's reactions, but you can see the relief there. Not before coming around the corner. We don't even have time to talk about a play until the next one takes place. This is ridiculous.
I know, it is the pace of this game is frantic, but a very controlled frantic, which is kind of interesting to see. But 2 minutes left. nosfa knows what he's got to do in order to try to tie this one back up. Rocket, his opponent, comes through the doorway, but unfortunately does not get the hit that he wanted to. k1llsen capitalizes on that and now brings his lead to 3. We have got Mega that was recently taken, but nosfa's got to rearm, and his time is ticking away. 90 seconds to try to make something happen here. Orb comes out, not going to put him in a good spot. That could have been it. He knew he needed to make a move, so he went for it. Unfortunately, not so much, and now k1llsen can kind of temper back the pace just a little bit, and it looks like he is going to try to hold on to this lead as best as he can. About 1:15 remaining. Coming out of that teleporter, k1llsen catches him with the LG. That's probably going to be it. 15 to 11. Still can't believe, Ketchup, that this game is as high scoring as it is.
It's 2 players that aren't afraid to fight if the opportunity calls for it, and I feel like since this map began, there was just a big sign saying fight right here. Rockets for everyone. Go on, you'll love it. However, k1llsen's doing a wonderful job of just being able to keep up with that, and I think that's actually one thing that k1llsen's always been fantastic at doing, is matching the pace or the ferocity of whatever opponent that he's got. There really is no one that is overwhelming for him, or I suppose too overwhelming for him. If he needs to fight, he'll fight, and he'll hit the shots, he'll get the damage, and importantly, on a map like this, he'll still keep his head in the game, because a map like this that forces as much fights as it can do, you still need to be thinking smart. You still need to be making good.
Sorry.
What was that thing about? We're trying to make points here, and the players are just doing all kinds of stuff. You have no time to digest it. It just happens. But either way, forget what I said. GG's.
He was certain k1llsen was going to come out of that teleporter, unfortunately. Just missed that one. So k1llsen with a nice win there. 16 to 10, the final score. Explosive game from the onset. Almost 8 frags in the 2 minutes, as you pointed out. And some great back and forth. There was that moment right there after that first explosiveness where we saw nosfa actually bring it back to 10-10, where he had pretty solid control, and I thought that he might be able to take it. But again, k1llsen is a champion, right? 10-10 to him, that's just a 0-0. Go ahead, however much time is left, like let's play. I think k1llsen showed sort of his status as a champion there, just holding on, doing exactly what he needed to do to ensure to clinch a victory. And, takes game number 1. But now we move on to Molten Falls with the Slash and the Sorlag. Another interesting matchup in front of us, but k1llsen with a little bit more comfort going into this one, having taken game 1.
I think at the same time, it sounds really bizarre to say this out loud, but with Sorlag being a fairly uncommon champion these days, that anytime someone does actually bring her out to play, it does become kind of interesting. And that is so not what Quake Champions was for like its first year, 2 years. I remember, God, even back in the day when Quake Champions was round-based, she was in almost every lineup. And she was so common, but you know, those times are long gone, and now, in the days of the time limit duel, the tried and tested, as it will, I think we get to see her very situationally. And nosfa the kind of player who wouldn't shy away from this if he believes in the pick and he really thinks that it will give him this ability to compete, I suppose.
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna come down to what's the play here, right? With nosfa and Sorlag, you know, like whether it's just controlling majors, I don't know. That's what I'm looking to the most here, right? I think k1llsen is like, okay, I'm feeling comfortable on a character that I've got good movement on, that I can make those run and gun type shots for. I'm not sure if nosfa is going to try to take control of like the upper jump pad of where the heavy is, or I'm not sure. So I'm really curious to see how nosfa is going to tackle this versus like how he tackled corrupted keep. I think if k1llsen gets to set the pace of this matchup, it's going to be a real tough one for nosfa.
Which is almost strange to think about, because one of Sorlag's, I think, greatest strengths has always been that she's a lot faster than you would give her credit for. That's one of the things about Quake, right, is that many of the larger champions, with the exception of k1llsen, sorry, 40, is that these larger champions are a lot faster than you'd expect. And Sorlag, right at the top of that list, when she's able to get that momentum going, even that, I think, is not going to be able to compete as much with the slash. A slash in the hands of a world-class player is a menace, with k1llsen no doubt going in with this pick, and kind of just feeds into what you said. If k1llsen's able to get himself some kind of solid lead here, even with the speed of Sorlag, it's going to be hard for nosfa to chase him around this map. Oh,
all right. Well,
Lord.
This is kind of what I was worried about right there. You know, Spit came out and k1llsen's like, cool, I've got a rail gun. Here's 3 rails in a row, and then there's frag number 1. So this is exactly kind of what I was worried about. It seems like then nosfa takes about 20 rockets and finally dies. k1llsen with his second frag here, but you can just see the comfort and the speed. Great read by nosfa, does bring it back, but you can definitely see the comfort in the speed of k1llsen. And as I mentioned, he loves that sort of run and gun style. He's done a lot to kind of master that. It's quite impressive and amazing to watch as he lands yet another rail. But nosfa, let's see what he can do here, as he's already at least brought it back to a 1 frag game. 2, tied up.
That kind of play is why heavies can do a little bit more here. Oh, good lord, k1llsen, you got to try and get out there, mate, but it's not possible. Man, that play from nosfa, any other kind of champion, that aggressive rocket jump, knowing your opponent is going to LG you to death, do not think it would have worked. nosfa, confidence in the champion, knowing I have stack you can only dream of, so this play works. And work it certainly did. nosfa narrowly in the lead now, but a close fight taking place towards heavy. A fight that nosfa might not live to see the end of, as he gets caught dropping down there. Oh no, k1llsen's found him. And the telefrag.
No.
I mean, he was dying some way. May as well go out with a bang.
That was a throw of the dice for sure, and that one did not come up good. k1llsen on his way over gets hit with a rail on the way out, but lands one of his own now, forces his opponent out. That's going to win him the heavy. And as he grabs this, a close game. 3-3. I thought with that first frag, I was like, oh no, is this the downhill, bike with no hands? It doesn't ever turn out good, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful. But so far, tied up, and I would not say that nosfa has let k1llsen set the pace of this game. He's going to give it his all, which we expect here. And now we're going to have a fight over heavy momentarily, or we're just going to have k1llsen grab it clean.
Good thing for k1llsen now that he has established full control of these items so far. Massive amounts of stack and stuff that can compete with nosfa at last. Now, this is the difference. You've managed to get yourself all the way up to full. These fights become significantly different. However, having to go into that light bubble that is going to shut down the acid spit. nosfa being in a better position for that mega, though, allows him to stay alive just that little bit longer. And now,
Oh, no!
Look, he tried to do something. He tried, clearly, to reposition and go for a unexpected way round. I'm just saying, I hope production catches that from his end so we can watch it back.
Oh, the moment I saw him kind of air control around the side, I was like, oh no. It didn't turn out great. And then that's a bummer when you're tied 3-0 and something like that happens. Gonna have another fight here over the heavy. Might be an opportunity. nosfa does grab it away. Not sure that he's gonna be able to fully capitalize on this, but setting up at the mega now. That was just so unfortunate. I'm gonna have a fight here at mega. k1llsen consistently getting that LG damage early on, but does not get the mega there.
All I can say, though, is that it clearly hasn't phased nosfa at all. Accidents happen and you move on. There's plenty of this map left to go. 6 minutes, in fact. And nosfa with a decent stack. Was so close, actually, there to taking k1llsen out and making it 3-4. And it's just a matter of keep on rolling, I suppose. And that's the mentality of a top-level player. How many players would just get tilted off the face of the earth if that happened to them?
Yeah,
not nosfa, apparently.
No, he's been taking it good. He's in a good position right now. Has a stack. Oh, there it is.
Yes. What a
Speed
shot.
not going to help him there. The rail firmly connecting, making it 4-3 now. And nosfa's stack looking really good. Oh, k1llsen just a second off of that heavy and goes up the jump pad. He will lose it there. And that actually could be a pretty pivotal moment here, as k1llsen could have just been in a much better spot had he picked up that heavy away. Now nosfa with a pretty nice stack here, so k1llsen's got to be a little careful. nosfa sitting on top of that mega now. Now he can go on full offensive here, if that is possible. Ooh, that almost hitting, but the rail connecting as well. k1llsen so very low. And nosfa has an idea, is like limited on where k1llsen could potentially go. We're halfway through this game, catch up in 4-3. This one's a spicy one.
I agree. And with the stack difference that we're currently working with, this is more than an opportunity for nosfa to make more things happen. And he said it before, k1llsen narrowly missed that heavy, which allowed nosfa to pick it up. It's not just that k1llsen has less stack now, it's that nosfa would have had the confidence and peace of mind to know, I can push, I can do something about this. Now k1llsen is doing a good job, though, of playing extremely slippery and evasive. And in doing so, actually, has done a ton of damage to nosfa in the process, to the point where now k1llsen, even off the back of all of this, is out stacking nosfa in theory. It just depends on how much you value armor, I suppose. But, okay. Now nosfa can't comfortably push. What a vertical rail from k1llsen, but he misses the second one. And is he going to go down? He's so weak. He will.
Gosh.
He will. We've tied things up. nosfa, not healthy, though.
I mean, he really I thought k1llsen fought that near mega quite nicely, letting himself take a little bit of damage, picking it up, but the LG of nosfa was just too strong, despite that drive-by rail that came out from k1llsen, and now he's going to throw some aggression on, and it will work, as he lands a double rocket to give himself back the lead, 5-4. I wanted to comment on that vertical spit over there by Heavy. I think I saw most of the spit like on the pillars above the, like no player was ever going to touch that. But
maybe k1llsen would have jumped into it, you never know.
Yeah,
But I got to say, 3 minutes left on the clock, and there's not much time to remind the folks. This is a rather important matchup for nosfa. This would be one hell of an opponent to take, and it's currently 1-0. Now it's even split down the middle. My point is, if nosfa can win this map and keep things competitive, who knows what a victory will mean for him in the grand scheme of things. And there's not a lot of time left, right? Another rail. What are these rails? I have got to look at this rail accuracy. 50% rail, but also you're going up against a slash. On the opposite end, k1llsen has hit 60%, so it's been quite a rail-heavy matchup so far, Wheat.
It really has. And we've seen long distance rail. We've seen in your face rails. We've seen some flick rails. We've seen a couple rails land where we didn't even know where they came from. And we are seeing a show by both of these players. I hope they're charging for tickets because this is a good one. 5-6, nosfa finally takes the lead. And this would be a really impressive win here in game number 2 and force us to a game 3. Spit coming down. LG's out on both sides, but nosfa gets the frag. 5-7. k1llsen knew that with the clock ticking, he does have to make some moves. Coming back for it with the rail to stop him. And that's a 3 frag lead. That's huge. However, off the spawn, k1llsen with the rail. Can he bring it back? He's got 1:40 left to do it.
Making a comeback of this caliber with a champion like Slash, I mean, not going to be as easy as it sounds. nosfa has been hitting some really wonderful shots, and he's going to have a lot of damage under his belt. However, here comes k1llsen, just pushing himself forward, complete and utter fearlessness. Only 1 frag behind and only needs 1 more in just over a minute. This is absolutely possible, but not a single thing can go wrong. He does not have time.
This is that moment where you look down and your heart rate monitor is like starting to hit 120, you know, you can feel the heat kind of cover over your entire body. It makes aiming a little bit harder. That final minute ticks down and k1llsen knows exactly what he's got to do, but he's also needs to be careful. Missed his opponent dropping down. Spit comes out as he chases it down. LG's out. Who's going to get it? nosfa with the RL, but a trade. Still a 1-point game for nosfa.
Now, nosfa should be, I would say, close enough to take that mega, but how much damage is he going to take by taking the item? 3 rails! He lives, but he's not going to live for long! No, the LG, what?
He tried to pull out his machine gun to finish it off. k1llsen going to say GG on that frag. 7-9, and we are going to game 3 with a split game, meaning that Blood Covenant will determine our winner. nosfa just, I guess, just getting ready for that next game. Remarkable back and forth on that one. You know, in the hands of either player several times throughout the matchup, and that was definitely one of the great games we've seen today. Well played by nosfa.
Both players, from the moment that map began to the moment it ended, gave it that 150%. And I've got to say, this is the nosfa that I missed, that we have always wanted to see again. And, you know, I'm not talking like it's just a 1-week thing. You know, nosfa has looked pretty damn strong all season so far. But with a matchup like this, with maps like this, even, I say off the back of, that was the map including the mishap. Yeah, that happened, right? So being able to more than recover, and it's kind of like I said in the middle of the map, it's a top player mentality to, you shrug things off, you keep it going. And there was loads of time left, time that was clearly well spent, as nosfa was able to take things 9-7, bringing us into a final map scenario. Blood Covenant's going to be the final destination of the night, folks. Curious over what the audience predictions are, because I know a lot of people started this show confident in k1llsen's ability to close it out. You know, some people are thinking maybe even 3-0s. Different story, as these things tend to go.
Yeah, we'll have to. Well, I'm gonna check in just a second. I do want to comment because k1llsen's rail that last game was 62%, 37 shots, 23 of those hit. And, you know, when you have that percentage was at least 12 points higher, I think, than nosfa. That's got to be a little frustrating. He was hitting a lot of really great shots. A couple of those early let him regain control and lead. But ultimately, even coming out of the game with that level of percentage is pretty interesting. So where are we at now, Ketchup, you asked? Well, things are a lot more split compared to where they were in the first game. We start to see a lot of points now heading into nosfa's bucket, still in favor of k1llsen by at almost 55-60%, but I think it goes to show suddenly people are like, I'm a fair weather nosfa fan, let's go in. No, I'm just kidding. Be a fan of whoever you want to be, but definitely a few more points going in his bucket.
Well, I think we're going to be taking a quick second. I believe one of our players just needs a quick moment. So as soon as they're ready, we'll be jumping in. But shouldn't take too long, I assume. A good opportunity to just look back on the series that we've had today. The series that we're having even as we speak. This has been an absolutely phenomenal showing, starting things off with one of the highest fragging matches that we've seen all night, and then having a wonderfully close exchange, even with a couple of little disasters happening in map 2. And now both players officially readied up, and we're now loading into Blood Covenant. So I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that has tuned in. You know, this is the final map of the night. Best way to do it. One of these players is going to get the win. You know, it's not set in stone yet. That's what you love to see. But what a great day it's been, and we definitely appreciate everyone for joining us in tonight's entertainment.
Absolutely, some good games across the board. Always love when we're ending the day on a decider. You know, not to say that it's always exciting, but when you've got a 1-1 split, and this means a lot for both players. k1llsen keeps his would put him at 6-0, right, exactly where he wants to be, moving way up there in the pack. And nosfa, he takes a win, and he might be moving above k1llsen here. So a lot on the line, and it's all coming down to good old trusty DM6.
What I absolutely adore about Pro League and what it's able to do is to we can look at individual players and just look at their journey. nosfa could be one of those players. Now, it has started off incredibly strong for k1llsen, though. nosfa going to go down rather early there, but one frag of potentially many. There is more than enough time to correct that. However, k1llsen, the concerning thing is, it's Blood Covenant. And it's k1llsen, and he's got a rail, and he's playing as Visor.
Yeah, this is, you know, oh my God. You hate, but you love to see it, don't you?
Nice shot.
Yes, that's going to be 2-0 here for k1llsen, and everything that you just said about Blood Covenant, right? When you take an arena, you add a ton of verticality to it, you make it so much bigger. Of course, nosfa from the bottom column, just grabbing a frag with the LG, right? It means that the pace of a game like this is going to be radically different. And of course, I say that, and already 1 minute in, we're 3 frags deep. But you know, I would not expect to see that for the entirety of the 10 minutes here. So we'll have to see, right? These players have been surprising us all day long. So, oh, huge rocket up the jump pad. Oh my God, narrowly missing on that one. He can't seem to clean it up. Looking for that rail, misses it. Heavy pick that.
No way.
Don't forget what?
Wait, how did that happen the way it did? The disastrous missed rail from k1llsen. nosfa somehow pulling that out of nowhere and making this a current 2-2. The rails have been keeping him in this fight. k1llsen has got to be frustrated because, I mean, oh my lord. We've already had 4 frags in this map so far, and it just feels like the most ridiculous map we've seen all day. nosfa! What is going on with you, mate? You have come alive.
I mean, the rocket launchers being the star of the show here on both sides. There's been a direct rocket before a frag. Pretty nutty here, as even chat is popping off. Just like, I cannot believe what I'm watching right here. We're in the same boat. Left a little speechless, but we'll find and muster the words that we need to say.
Don't worry, folks, we're in it together.
Yeah, exactly. 2.5 minutes in, nosfa, you know, started with that frag deficit and with that really rough frag right down at the heavy while he missed all those rails, and k1llsen just kind of gunned him down. But now he sits 1 frag in the lead, 2-3. Definitely seeing the Visor versus Doom. It makes for a pretty interesting matchup here, but I don't suspect that either of these players will finish fighting until that last bell rings.
Oh, and that was one of the classics. You know, your opponent's peppering out tons of damage, but it takes a few well-placed rockets to knock them up, throw them off, and that makes it so hard to aim consistently. k1llsen takes full advantage, secures himself another frag on the board, and in doing so, puts himself in a position for this heavy. Gives up the mega in the meantime, though, and nosfa is already looking to contest. That rail knocks him off course. k1llsen takes the heavy. They trade damage back and forth. Misses the last-minute rail, and even then, k1llsen gets away with a couple of extra shots, neither of which hit their mark. there has not been time for anyone to think in this match. They are having to play this game at 200 miles per hour, and I just don't see any signs of it stopping, Weed.
I mean, you're absolutely right, and give some credit to both the players for that, because one's setting it and the pace, and the other one is matching it. So nosfa goes down. That's going to be another tie game. Quickly, nail jumps up to that rail, because that's been pretty crucial here in this matchup. And dropping down, great rail through the LG room. k1llsen on his way over will pop that vision, knows exactly where his opponent is. Looking to see if he can peek an angle, but it's not going to happen. We're going to hit this 5-minute mark and still tied. Both players giving it their all.
Because of the positioning there from nosfa being able to just cut all of those tight angles, the piercing sight didn't give k1llsen much to work with there. However, that's not going to matter as Man bags 3 hot rails back to back and knows it should be a free push maybe towards heavy. nosfa, in theory, only has rocket and maybe starting machine gun. No, actually, has the rail. My lord. He was able to get those weapons nice and quickly. Not that it matters, as k1llsen was able to escape there more than with his life. He has a chunky stack to work with. The piercing sight rail up the backside. That is painful. nosfa now does not have a lot of health left.
That was such a good move there by k1llsen with the rocket jump into vision and then managing to hit that rail. Like, it was so great, especially considering that he's in that frag lead position right now. His stack is better. He's starting to get control over both of the items. There's a pretty big gap between the two, almost 15 seconds sitting there. So this suddenly is turntables real fast here for k1llsen, thanks to that particular play right there. But he's still got to hold on. There's a lot that still can happen. It just means that in this moment, k1llsen kind of with the advantage.
Ooh, that's a rare kind of rail to miss, to be honest with you. Having that piercing sight, the shot perfectly lined up and not able to get any damage out of it. That is a bit of a heartbreaker, because now the damage is being returned. nosfa firing back. His ability to hit shots perfectly when it counts has been rather monumental the entire series long. And it's wild to think that although we've had an intense back and forth, we only have 4 minutes left to go, and this series is going to be over. Both players 1 map apiece, similar positions on the leaderboard. k1llsen wants to keep the undefeated streak going. nosfa getting a victory here would change things substantially in his leaderboard placement. That's just a lot on the line, and the rails for k1llsen. Mate, get away from me.
I mean, gave up the item, but then landed the 2 rails, completely negating that item almost immediately. And that rail suddenly becoming a real nuisance here for nosfa. Still only down by 1, right? But I think that now we're seeing nosfa more and more up against the back. There's a nice rail. The LG's out, though. k1llsen, 8 points of health, but he gets the frag, extending his lead by 2. Now 6-4. Lands another. Oh, my God. 2 in a row. 7-4. And this is starting to look pretty good here for k1llsen.
Someone wants to play a game of rails, and k1llsen is happy to match it. I mean, railson exists for a reason. And in those situations, let alone having the piercing sight, I'm fairly confident that k1llsen would have landed those shots without it, to be honest with you. What they add up to, it means so much more here. nosfa having to go towards some light armor. The shot being perfectly lined up there for k1llsen, though, because he just knows nosfa has no choice but to take it. You have to try your luck, otherwise you got no armor. No armor, you're toast. Now there's not a lot of this map left with k1llsen in full control, and it's time to come online with these rails refusing to miss. This is the moment that k1llsen's going to hit that next level, and it's one hell of a time to do so, but like we said, man's a champion for a reason. Oh, God, that hurts. 100 damage.
Beautiful. I mean, the shots that we're seeing now, we're compiling a frag movie while this game is in progress. And I think that suddenly vision is now worth 10 times, right? It's value. Having that lead and being able to do exactly like what he did there. And not only that, but hitting these shots, 48% rail, 21 of 43 shots hit, all really impressive. There's another shotgun blast to the back, 2 minutes left, and 9-4. k1llsen was not going to let this victory out of his hands. This is looking pretty good for him.
I feel like getting that super shotgun blast on Doomslayer like that was just outright rude. It's like Ranger. It's like Ranger getting telefragged or something.
True. It hurts a little bit more, doesn't it?
There's just some things you don't do to the poster boys.
Yep.
Well, on a more serious note, this is looking very much like a victory for k1llsen, but one that was hard fought. I think all three of these maps were kind of wild and kind of fitting that it would conclude the way it has, where k1llsen is just able to reach in and take that extra amount of potential that he needed for this opportunity. You know, nosfa has been bringing it to him all series long across all three of the maps, and then k1llsen for those last couple of minutes just exploded. Perfect movement, perfect control, perfect accuracy. Everything just worked wonders, and this was the time to step up. Step up he did.
It's one of those series scores, Ketchup, where I feel like it needs a star next to it, right? 2/1 star, just because that doesn't really represent how close this game was throughout, or this series was throughout all three games. I mean, nosfa with the great victory in game number 2, but even game 1 was a phenomenal sight to see. I think this last 3-4 minutes here of a Blood Covenant, certainly we saw k1llsen turn on his own kill switch and really go for it. Came out 6 frags ahead now, and 10-4. There's going to be the series win for k1llsen, putting him at 6-0 and moving him back up. But what a great series that was. I'm excited to bring our pal Lethal back in to see what he thought of that, because we had 2 phenomenal featured matches this week.
Yeah, we've been really blessed, haven't we? Every match we've had today, and the fact that it's gone to map number 3 as a final series, lovely, isn't it? Been absolutely lovely indeed. And yeah, it's a shame, a little bit unfortunate for nosfa towards the end of that last map anyway, but just k1llsen continuing to do what he does best, just to stand authority and give up any kind of false hope which he was giving to nosfa there towards the end. And yeah, and you're right, Wheat, as well. And DM6, k1llsen's extremely strong. A nice bit of flair there. nosfa going absolutely flying. But yeah, very situational as well, as nosfa did win a couple of bouts with a big disadvantage in terms of stack and still had to come out on top. But then k1llsen managed to change things up massively. I'd love to know his thoughts about Molten Force to see what he could have done differently. But yeah, it's still a way to finish off the day.
You just look at how that thing went. I mean, even the first map that the two of them played, there was a point where they were tied 10-10, and it's just like, when does that happen? Almost never, even on a map as high scoring as that. But nosfa brought an absolute focus, I think is the word. Many potential words, to be honest, because he brought a lot of it today, and it's refreshing to see. nosfa is one of those players that he's always been in Pro League, and yes, he's had his ups and downs, but seeing how he played today, for me, just cements and reminds everyone why nosfa is here in the first place.
Yeah.
Because this guy is no joke. He hasn't been the most consistent player, but when he's able to pull up like that on k1llsen, who is one of the best to ever do it, that is a statement to make. I know he didn't ultimately win the series, but he made it damn close. And how many players in the world can even say that they've made it that close against someone of k1llsen's caliber? Yeah.
I mean, we've gone through so many eras of Quake where kind of dominance has been, sort of the theme, right? You just, a player going in, everyone's like, will so-and-so take out this player? But I would argue that the best eras of Quake are when no one knows who the hell that player coming out on top is going to be. And we've started to see that slowly sort of make itself the case over the last few seasons. But I feel like more than ever, this season it is a present. Yes, there's still some dominant, phenomenal players, but when we get to that final 16 weeks and we get our seeds and we go into the finals, I really do think we're going to see some explosive stuff, right? A lot can happen between now and then. Clearly, just based off of what we're seeing week after week, just more impressive plays all around. And this is a really exciting time for the league.
It's an exciting time for us as well, because I've just been informed that we have k1llsen on the line, and my lord, do we have a lot to talk about over that series that we just saw. Hi k1llsen, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? I mean,
we're all doing well,
not so good actually, but yeah, it's fine.
Well, I hope you're all right, mate. Well, look, you gave us You gave us a absolutely fantastic series, and we have, I think, quite a bit to ask you about it. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I guess first question, I'll take the reins on it. Were you expecting that to be as just kind of balls to the wall as it was? It felt like the moment that first 10 seconds happened on map 1, it was just go.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, especially this year, anything can happen on the servers, and we've seen it happening today already, a little earlier. And yeah, you somehow got to try to understand what's going on and then play to that.
Well, going into map number 2, k1llsen, you had a stellar performance in every single map nonetheless. It was very tight on Molten Falls. Just general speaking, is there anything in particular you felt like you could have done a little bit differently against nosfa? Of course, we know with the Slash matchup, it's quite convenient, not obviously used to the saw lag all the time, but is there anything you felt like you could have done just a little bit differently to maybe give you a bit more of an edge?
Yeah, I do think so. Like here and there, I could have for sure done something a little better and kept it like even closer than it was in the end. But yeah, you know, sometimes even if you're prepared, you got the right idea, you have the right weapon in the right situation. It doesn't matter always, and it just, you know, some hiccups happening on the game, and then you gotta rethink all your plans and gotta reset up.
k1llsen, congratulations. Great games. Was excitement from these seats the whole time. I'm kind of curious, right? One of the things that we've been talking about pretty consistently here this season for the league is that we've seen the pool of players, like the talent is increasing across the board, right? And not saying that it's easy to win a championship and stay on top, but I'm wondering if that changes the way that you're preparing, not only on a week-to-week basis, but also as you head to the finals, right? We're in a situation, or we're in a where the playing field of players is right. It's improved significantly. So is there any different approach that, like, you personally, having come off of last season, are kind of looking at or doing to prepare for like new players, new things, different meta, or is it just stick with your guns?
Yeah, kind of stick with your guns. I mean, like I said, trying to understand what's going on, but even you can sometimes with how it plays at the moment, and then yeah, some are really good figuring out what is going on right now. Like very much the first minute of a match, you kind of try to figure out which weapon feels good right now against that opponent, and then next map it's gonna be something totally different. And you need to change things on the fly, and some are capable of doing so very good. And on that part, I absolutely agree. Agree that yeah, the talent right now did rise, but yeah, in the
So
end, if it would be like a little more flaw in the games, then it would look a little different right now.
do you think then you're comfortable with like changing on the fly and kind of where you're at? I mean, your series score 6-0 now seems like the answer is yes, but I would like to hear from you, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I focus right now. Like, try to secure the match wins while it's difficult. And so far, I've been successful with that. And I will just try somehow to keep doing this, even it's, you know, very frustrating at times. But gotta grind through sometimes. Sometimes life's not fun, and that's how it is.
Awesome.
Well, I tell you what, k1llsen, thank you so much for your time. And as we kind of roughly hit the halfway point here, there's a good chance that we'll see you up here again. So hopefully we get a chance to do that. But thank you for your time, mate. Rest up.
Thank you very much.
GG's, congratulations,
GG's,
and we will
thanks.
see you
GG's.
very, very soon.
Good job, mate.
Well. That's it. That's the end of the show. It's actually been a really good day, though. We've had some absolutely fantastic matches. I think the one that we ended it on, though, was highly exciting. Starting with you, Lethal, just before we close out. You know, any standout matches for you today?
I think there's 3 or 4 matches. I don't know why, but the Wenger Civ one season still stand out to me. I don't know why.
I'm still scratching my head over what happened, to be
Yeah,
honest.
exactly. I might have to watch that back, actually. But no, I think majority of them have been pretty good. I kind of feel like some of these Quake Pro League weeks, I feel like only an hour's passed, even though we had like 7 series each week. It's just been incredible, been non-stop action throughout the entirety of it. And now we're approaching the halfway stage now. We're interested to see how the league formats itself over the next additional few weeks, where some of the top contenders will be faced against each other, and see how things escalate, especially with the top 8, of course, nowhere near set in stone yet.
What about you, Wheat? Anything stands out for you?
Well, obviously I thought the featured matches this week were just top notch. Well selected, well played by all the players, and I want to say that if this is the halfway point and what we've seen develop over the past 8 weeks, or as we're getting to week number 8, it's really exciting to think about what we're going to see in the back half of this season, and then ultimately into the finals, right? Players say what you will, I completely understand, but like at the end of the day, when it comes down to land, like I expect everyone to bring it, and I think we're going to see some explosions. Like it's going to be phenomenal. So if you've enjoyed the first 7 weeks, strap in, ladies and gentlemen, because there's a lot more coming at you.
Couldn't have said it better myself, mate. That is all we have time for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to everybody that makes this possible, especially the hard-working team behind the scenes that runs the show and does all the heavy lifting for the rest of us. Just sit here and just talk for a few hours, really. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Ketchup, joined by Lethal DJ Week. This is our latest week of Quake Pro League. Plenty more where that came from. Stay tuned, same time, same place. Goodbye.